Hey guys, welcome back to Von Kettle Kitchen. Tonight I am baking and I'm going to be making coffee cake muffins. I'm actually going to bake some and then some of the batter I'm just going to freeze and then take out of the muffin tins once they're frozen. They're just going to stay in the freezer until I feel like wanting to bake again. So let's get started. I have the oven preheating to 375 degrees. This pan with the paper liners is what I'm going to be baking tonight. It'll make 12 muffins. I'm actually going to double the batch. And the ones with the foil, these are the ones I'm just going to put in the freezer. I'm going to let them freeze and then leave them in there until I'm ready to bake. So we are going to start off on the crumble first. So let's get that started. All right, so the crumble is 1 full stick of butter. So I'm actually going to turn my microwave on real quick. And we're going to melt that butter. So we are going to do a 1/3 cup of packed brown sugar, a 1/3 cup of regular white sugar. Move this out of the way. We are going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a full teaspoon of cinnamon, and we'll use more cinnamon as well when we actually make the muffins themselves. And we're going to do 1.5 cups of flour, I don't know if you guys heard that pop in the microwave. That is the butter melting, but I always put a paper towel over the top of the coffee mug that I put it in so it doesn't splash and make a mess inside my microwave. And it's done. So I'm just going to mix this together just so I can have the brown sugar incorporated. I always make a mess, so bear with me. So we're going to put the whole stick of butter in here. This is just a single recipe for the topping. I'm not doubling this because when I've made it before, I feel like there's always extra. So I don't want to waste it, so I'm just going to use it all when I double the batch for the actual mixture. So a lot of the times for this, I actually use a fork. And that's just so you can get the consistency for it. So you want a beach sand like feel to this mixture. So I'm going to continue to mix this up. This will take about a minute to get everything incorporated. If you see it, actually you can mold it, and that's perfect because that's going to be the crumble that goes on top of your muffins. So you don't want to have any of the dry mixture. Right. So I'm actually going to put this on a sheet tray because you kind of want it to dry before you really use it. And it's just like the sand or like play sand. That's what you want. All right, since we are doubling this batch, I have 1.5 cups of milk. I'm going to need 2/3 of a cup of canola or vegetable oil. And you always want to mix your wet ingredients with your wet ingredients and then incorporate them into the dry. We're going to do 4 eggs. Just a tip, if you ever drop a shell inside of something that you are doing, shell attracts to shell. So all you have to do is just take the shell, dip it in there, and the little piece will go right inside the egg shell. All right. So now we're going to whisk that together. And I just do it in a large measuring cup. This is a 4-cup measuring cup, just so I don't have to really dirty too much. So I'm going to leave that whisk in there because I'm going to need it anyways. So now we're going to do the dry. So we need 3 cups of flour, And in the description below, I will actually put the regular recipe for it, only because when I do the glaze for this as well, I'm only going to do half, because I'm not going to put, or just a single batch, because I'm not going to put glaze on the muffins. I'm just going to put in the freezer. I'm going to need 1 cup of packed sugar. I say light brown. You can use dark brown brown sugar. There's just more molasses in dark brown. All right. So that is it. We're going to do 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and I always do a heaping teaspoon. And there is no coffee in this. So the way that it originated was because this type of muffin was meant to be eaten with coffee, like in the morning. So, and I learned that, I was just reading up on it a little bit ago. So we're going to do a half a teaspoon of baking soda. A half a teaspoon of salt. I'm sorry. So let's try that again, since I only did a half of this. So that was really 2 teaspoons, but I need 4 teaspoons of baking powder, and then a half a teaspoon of baking soda. So my apologies, but the right instructions will be down below, I promise. So I'm gonna grab another whisk, just so I can break up that brown sugar, and just so we can put some air inside. And then we're going to add the wet ingredients. And grab my spatula. Put that in there. And now we're just going to fold this until just combined. So you don't want to overmix it because you'll get a dry muffin. You just want it so everything is just moistened. So we're going to get that together. All right, so the oven is preheated, but we're not there yet. So this is now mixed, and we're going to put it in the tins. All right, so you don't have to use liners or anything, just make sure you spray your pan. I'm just using it because it's just easier, and I just like the way it looks. So I'm just using a small ladle, just so I can make sure each muffin has the same amount of batter that goes inside. So we're just going to continue to fill. Okay, so I got most of them filled. I was short for 2 cupcakes, which is fine. What I'm actually going to do, I'm going to put a little bit of water in each of these wells. And that's just a trick I learned when I was in class in high school in what we called back then meal management. So I'm going to put a little water in there before that. But these, it's not going to really matter because these are getting frozen. But if you are to bake them, just put a little bit of water, like a quarter of the way up, and pop them in the oven. So now we're going to put the crumble on. I do the freezer ones first. I'm just going to put a little bit of crumbles on them because I'm just going to throw them right in the freezer after I do the crumble. So when you do the crumble, especially when you're going to be putting them in the freezer, you want to push it down. Don't mind my dogs, they are playing. Alright, almost done. So you're literally just going to push them down into the batter. Put a little extra on here. So when these bake up, it already has the crumble, so you don't have to worry about adding more on or anything like that. And this way it freezes right to the muffin. You don't have to worry about it. Right, so I'm gonna put these in the freezer. I'm gonna kind of have a look at my freezer. I got stuff in there. There is not much room. So I am just going to put them in here. I just want them to sit flat just so they can freeze, and then I will bag them up. Now we're just going to continue to crumb these. These are ready to go in the oven. I still didn't use all that crumble. You can actually freeze that if you would like. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to freeze it since I have muffins that are going into the freezer and staying in the freezer. So maybe I'll just keep it aside in case I need it. So a 375-degree oven for about 15 to 17 minutes. Now I'm going to make the drizzle that goes on top of the muffins. So this is after the muffins have cooled. So it's a 1/4 cup of confectionery sugar, which is just powdered sugar. We're going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 full teaspoon of milk, and you just mix together. So if this is too thin of a drizzle, all you have to do is just add a little extra confectionery sugar into it. Or if it's too thick, you can just add a little bit, very little milk. But this looks fine. So I'm gonna put this aside for the muffins. They're still baking, and we will check them in a little bit. Right, so it's been about 15 minutes, and I just want to check them to make sure. Puffed up pretty nice. So I have a cake tester. You can use a thermometer. Just want to enter it in. It's come out clean. So these bad boys are complete. So they're going to sit up there for about 10 minutes, and then they'll get their drizzle on. Right, now that this is cool, I'm going to stir the icing up since it's been sitting for a little bit. And we're going to drizzle. Chloe. Sorry guys. I don't ever kick my dogs out of my kitchen because they are just a part of it as a family as everybody else is. They are spoiled rotten. They do get scraps and stuff like that. I know some people may say that's not healthy, but they're not like overfed or anything like that. They are very healthy dogs, and they do go to the vet. So, ladies, you want to say hi? That is Chloe, and that is Delilah. Alright guys, well thank you for joining me today and making the coffee cake muffins with me. Hope you guys enjoy.